Welcome to Dub Life Diaries, the podcast where passion meets the open road. I'm Joe Person, your host, and also a lifelong dubber. Buckle up, because this ride is just beginning. This podcast is sponsored by Volksmania magazine. Good times, great cars, awesome Volksmaniacs. Visit Volksmania.com to learn more about this class-leading VW magazine. Welcome back to Dub Life Diaries. Today's guest is a dude whose story feels like it is straight out of a movie. I am not kidding. So imagine this, guys. You're 5 years old, you're sweeping floors in your uncle's body shop, you're breathing in paint fumes, and you're watching classics come back to life. While most kids are playing with Hot Wheels, Josh Ellis was building them. So fast forward now a couple decades, and he's an arborist by trade. Some of you that don't know what that is, it's basically a specialist that dedicates their life to the caring of trees, which, I mean, only real straight up people can do that, right? Who cares enough? Josh Ellis does. He's a craftsman by nature, one of the most hands-on VW guys in the scene up in the Cape Cod area. He and his wife are chilling on the beach one day when she says, if I could have any old car, it would be a Beetle convertible. And where most people would scroll Craigslist, Josh says, nah, I'm going to build one for you from the ground up. So we're talking full restoration and actually a new life and a new obsession. So since then, he's done 3 full builds. He paints his own cars, builds his own engines. He camps the hell out of his 77 Westy named Forrest. He's turning his next bus into a rolling photo booth for weddings and events. Again, turning passion into a business. You guys know how I feel about that. I love that's my favorite type of business. This is one of those conversations that reminds you that craftsmanship, patience, and heart, what it looks like when they collide. So grab a cold one if it's in the evening, or maybe if you do that in the morning, or grab a hot one if it's early and get ready for some serious VW soul. Josh Ellis, welcome to Dub Life Diaries.
Thanks for having me on, Joe. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, that's probably the best introduction that anybody's ever said about me. So I'm gonna make sure we save that.
Yeah, man, you're worth it, dude. Looking at the pictures of your work and just seeing you and talking to you and hearing your story, I'm excited for this one, man. But before we get rocking, let me shout out to a couple of my sponsors and make sure I show them some love and support. First up, Volksmania magazine. You guys know how I feel. These guys are the flyest VW magazine on the face of the planet. Best quality, best people. Volksmania.com. Use DubLife10 at checkout. These are U.S. subscribers only. DubLife10, DUBLIFE, the number 10. Will get you 10% off your subscription. Also, shout out to the Salty Dub. From the beach to the bay, Salty Dub is tearing up the VW scene with epic, never-before-seen VW events and swag. Check those guys out, saltydub.com. Same discount code applies, DubLife10. Use it at checkout. This only works for merch. All right, man. Back to you, man. Back to you. This is all about you from this point forward, okay?
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yeah, brother. All right, man. So let's go back to the beginning. You're pushing a broom in your uncle's body shop. You're 5 years old. Most kids are playing in sandboxes. You're pushing dust and paint fumes. What do you remember about the early days that made you kind of fall in love with the craftsmanship side of maybe even dealing with the smell of paint and metal?
Well, that's just it. I mean, first and foremost, let's go right to the smell of it, right? So I don't know. I heard somewhere that the sense of smell is so in tune with your memory, and God, I couldn't agree with that. I couldn't agree with that more. So there's days even today, where at work. So in the wintertime, that when my guys are done for the year, I'm laid off. Well, the guys are laid off, but I stay working in our shop and I paint our trucks. And it started out as just doing a little bit of rot work here and there, and now I just fix everything. But so there's days, especially more so in the wintertime, because that's when I'm in there the most, is I come in there, I'm usually the first guy there. I open the doors and it's about 5:15 in the morning. And when I walk in there, the lights are off and I open that door and I smell it. It brings me right back to 1988. I mean, I don't know any other way to describe that. I can still see the markings on our old shop when I was a kid. Like it was yesterday. So those days were probably some of the most formative of my entire life. I mean, my uncle, so we'll get I'm sure we'll get to talk about him a lot. His name is Paps. Well, his name is Wayne, but we called him Paps. And that man, he taught me how to be a man. He taught me pretty much everything I know, the core values. So,
Absolutely.
going back to that question, yeah, I would say that, when I was there, that's the only place I really wanted to be. I looked up to him so much, and that's all I ever wanted to do was just own my own body shop someday.
So truly, my next question really you kind of answered it already, but that's really what shaped your mindset, your patience, and your obsession for the work that you do now.
100%. Yep.
Yeah, sounds like it. So do you remember the first time that as a young kid that you realized like, man, I can actually fix stuff. Like this is, I can make it look better than new.
Yeah, all right. So let's step back in time a little bit here. I remember the first time he taught me how to weld, and that was on his 40 Ford Coupe. Well, he's no longer with us, but my son still has. And I then fast forward a little bit. At the time I think I was about 14. I had bought a Monte Carlo Super Sport off of my cousin, and it was back in those days. We used to buy stuff from the auctions and fix them and sell them as used cars, and so I got that. I don't know. I started giving him $50 a week or so when I was probably around 13ish, 12, 13,
Wow,
and I think I was
hustling,
about yeah, I think I was about 14 when I painted it, and that was the first complete paint job that I had ever done.
man.
So that one probably really meant the most to me in the beginning.
So the shop must have been probably like a playground of chaos. Any stories that you have from back then that shaped you that might even still make you laugh to this day?
Yeah, I'm chuckling about them as I'm thinking about some. So perhaps my cousins, Richard and Steven, those are his boys, and Richard had about 11 years on me and Steven 9. So when I was, 8, 9, 10 years old, those guys were getting into trouble. You know what I mean? So like some of the stuff that, and not bad trouble, just staying out late, all that kind of stuff, whatever.
Right.
We used to tow for the police departments, and we'd get a lot of wrecks that would just sit around forever. And we'd play a little bit of demolition derby in the back parking lot.
That's
For the
amazing.
yeah. I mean, stuff that kids do. I mean, nowadays you don't really hear that stuff, but yeah, those were the good days, man. Just a completely different world.
Yeah,
Completely different.
nowadays there's cameras everywhere, and we
I
can't
know it.
we can't have that kinda nobody's looking fun anymore
Right, right,
because everybody's looking.
right.
So did your parents think that you'd stay in the car world, or did you just kinda naturally end up, balancing what you do now, which is essentially trees and Volkswagens?
So I mean, so my career really, it's not just trees. We're a landscape company we do everything from house demolition, site septic, and then I run the
Oh,
maintenance
wow.
division. Yeah,
Okay.
so I have about 25 employees that I manage the crews and where they're going, what they're doing. We work on really high end residential estates. So
Nice.
yeah, we get to work on some of the most pretty places here on the Cape, which is really cool.
Down here,
But
it's a sick business too, down in
I bet.
in Florida. Yeah, the landscape guys, they're the artists of the yard, especially with
Sure.
a lot of the xeriscape and a lot of the, turf type,
Absolutely.
yards now. Oh, man,
Yep.
they're high
Yep.
end, high dollar, they're looking great.
Right. Yeah, I don't think there was ever a question in any one of my family members' minds whether or not I'd still be into cars. My older 2 brothers, they didn't really have they coulda really cared less about the shop, that really wasn't their thing.
Right.
But for me, it's always stuck with me, and I'd probably be doing it full time, when I was around see 18 or so 19 I was doing it for myself out of a buddy shop, and then things got a little sparse, so I ended up crawling back to the body shop and working for Paps again. But for the last 20-25 years or so, that's what I've been doing. Is landscaping during the season, and then in the wintertime to either do my own thing or work at now for our company doing our stuff. But I've still always, I mean, I've had projects that it just never stops. I mean, I always have to have some kind of a project going all the time.
Is there a switch that needs to be made? Do you so arborist by trade now professionally, how do you go from, body filler and metal and, cars
It's all
to
the same.
chainsaws and trees? Same?
Yeah, it's all the same. I mean, it's just really attention to detail.
Right,
And
you ain't wrong.
yeah, that's yeah, I think that statement's kind of a broad one you could use even in life, right? Attention to detail. You get what you put in. So the harder you work for something, the more you're gonna appreciate it.
Yeah,
And
I
I mean,
I
look,
wrote that down when I thought about the parallel between the 2 of them. Both take an eye for structure, for balance, for detail, like you said, and I think you have to care about the outcome,
oh, for sure,
right?
for sure,
It can't just be something where you're like, "Well, I'm good at this. I work great with my hands." Yeah,
right,
this is different. You gotta actually care about the outcome. So, yeah,
right.
that's
Well,
pretty cool, man.
and at work, so some of my favorite things to do is, we'll build these huge projects. The guys are on for months, sometimes more than a year. And then once it gets finally done and it gets turned over to me, I have to maintain it. But there's irrigation is usually our number one foe, right? A lot of the landscape architects, they'll plant high water need plants next to low water need plants. And I mean,
Gotcha.
the irrigation guys, they're just trying to keep everything wet. So the first year is usually like a balancing act, trying to keep these plants happy, that plant happy. And literally, I mean, some of the biggest joys I get from work are it's not so much the clients, it's more so that like, hey, this this tree's in decline and I notice it right away and I augment whatever it takes, whatever I see, and seeing the tree still live after a year or two. Those are
Yeah.
some of my favorite things.
Yeah, well, sure, because you care. Like, that's kinda what I was saying. So let's touch on this. You made a comment. You said, "I'd love to be doing it full time." To me, I feel like, it's a hobby for you, right, at this point, but
It is.
is it something that you would like to push more towards as far as, do reshaping, recrafting Volkswagens? Is that where the heart's at these days?
I think it's really that's like a dream job, right?
Okay.
So I don't know if and gee, I don't have a crystal ball, but would I be content if this is what I was doing every day? Sure. Yeah. I mean, look, but the what I have to deal with at work with clients and expectations, and sometimes those are hard to upkeep. What do I have to be upset with a Volkswagen? As surely as it the sandpaper. You know what I mean? So I mean, if you get a faulty part, whatever. So I mean, I think that there's a possibility in something like that, and I guess that would really depend on how hard I pursue it. I like the idea of it, although I'm treated well at work and I'm happy where I'm at.
Sure, sure.
And I like to think that there's a future down the road there as well too.
Yeah,
Um, but uh, in the immediate, I love working on these things. I mean, to me, it like I said before that when I was growing up, my dream was to have my own body shop. I don't like the idea of doing any of that stuff for, like, nowadays cars, There's just too much involved in it and too much schooling and I respect those guys that have to do all that,
right,
That's a lot.
right.
Um, and I don't really I'd, like I said, be content just working on these old cars because they 'cause they're just so simple and they're such a blast.
And you guys, you'll get Josh's contact information in the show notes, but wait till you see some of this guy's builds. I mean, he deserves to be doing this not just for a hobby. So that's awesome. True craftsman. And there's
Appreciate that, Joe, thank you.
yeah, no, man, you got to give credit where it's due, man. You have to. Again, that's one of the reasons why I did this podcast is to celebrate these guys like you who are, on the outside or from what everybody sees an everyday, Joe. I say that because that's my name, but I could say an everyday Josh or an everyday Tom, and you're not. You're like the top of the top, man. Like some of the most skilled craftsmen out there. So let's go back to this moment here on the beach in 2020. Your wife says, if I could have any old car, it'd be a Beetle convertible. What goes through your mind when you hear that? You're a Chevy
Well,
guy?
it's funny as we're talking about it because and my wife will have to agree with a lot of this that, maybe it's selective hearing. I don't remember any of the conversation prior, but
Okay.
all I remember is her telling me that if she could have any car, it would be a Beetle convertible because that's all she's ever driven is Beetles. Her parents got her, I think it was a '98 hardtop Beetle, and when she was 16, and after that, she had a '08 Beetle convertible,
Mhm.
and she's only had 3 cars. Now she bought her 17 brand new, and that car's got, God, almost 190,000 miles on it. So, I mean, when she said if she could have any old car, it would be a Beetle convertible, I said, "Okay, I'll build you," and I literally said this, "I'll build you whatever you want. You just need to pick out what you want for colors and upholstery." And it was literally, I mean, I don't know. I swear the stars kind of just have to align at some point, right? Because maybe
Sure.
like a month later, we were on our way. It was a Sunday morning. We were on our way to go pick up my kids. And she said to me, she said, "Hey, did you see that thing I sent you on Facebook this morning?" I said, "No, I didn't even look." So I happened to pick up my phone and I'm like, "Oh, no way." Right. So now this is the best story. It really is. And hence why we call the car Lucky. So fast forward a little bit, right? We get the kids and we're on our way back. We were coming back to the Cape and we were going to take them to the beach for the day. And I asked her, I said, because the guy was, there were two cars listed. There was Lucky, right? And at the time it was orange. It was absolute basket case. And there was a 73 for a parts car. And the guy was asking $1,800 for the two of them. So, my wife does a lot of little odd side jobs here and there, and it's common for her to have, God, I don't know, a bunch of cash in her pocketbook, and I knew that. So again, I was wearing shorts, bathing suit and flip flops, and we were on our way to the beach. And so I said to her, I was like, "How much money do you have in your purse?" And she goes through it. She says, "I have 1,050." I'm like, "All right, I can work with that, right?" So I messaged the guy, and he calls me right away, and he gives me the address. And boy, I'm like, "Man, does that address sound? That's so familiar. Why do I know that?" So, anyways, as we're pulling up, it's not even an eighth of a mile from my shop. And in fact, the previous owner of our company, used to own that property. It used to be his tree farm.
Yeah, man. See, this is where the stars align.
Yeah. So all right. So we show up, we get in there, and I'm looking at the car. My kids, nor my wife, none of them got out of the car, out of the truck, right? And I'm walking around the car and I'm looking at it, and like it was in tough shape. And I knew nothing about Volkswagens at the time. Not anything, right? So I'm looking at it and I'm thinking to myself, in my head, my wheels are already turning. Okay, I need to do this. I need to do that. Like, how am I going to fix it? Whatever.
Mhm.
So I said to the guy, and I had taken her $1,000 and I put it in my pocket. I said, "Well, would you take an offer?" And the same story like everybody. Long story short, I ended up taking $1,000 and said, waving it around like it was a win and scratch ticket. And I'm like, "Hey, man, I got $1,000 cash and I can have these things out of here by the end of the day." And he said, "All right, let's do it." So we go into his office as we're signing the papers. We come out, whatever. Somebody pulls up and says, "Hey, are these the Beatles for sale?" And the guy says, "Yeah, he just bought them." So then I go over to my wife in the truck and I say, "Hey, you want to come out and take a look at your new car?" And she comes out and at first she was excited. And then she got up close to it. And of course, she doesn't know what she's looking at. In my head, I already know what I need to do to fix it and how it's going to be. So, so long story short, she's like, "Oh," and I think she was a little apprehensive at the time, and maybe when we were leaving, she was like, "Are you sure this is a good idea?" So that took a few months of me to, and literally, when I say a few months, we bought that car. It was September, and by April, I was driving it home. That was a complete body off restoration on that car.
Yeah,
Um,
I was gonna bring that up. So you built a stand, you stripped it down, you let her pick
yep.
the colors and the interior. You basically, full resto. So, what on that build, what was your challenging spots? What was the hardest part?
I think just trying to figure out now again, look, I've never done a Volkswagen. One, taking the body off the pan, that wasn't so hard. We got plenty of equipment at work. We got a few lifts and forklifts, big machines. We can do whatever there. So that wasn't the hard part. The hard part, I think, for me was once I had it on the stand. And again, being a body man, I know that when you take things apart, you lose all that structure, you lose the rigidity. Is how am I going to cut out these heater channels and still maintain the structure of the car? Because realistically, when you think of how much you're cutting out of that thing, especially being a convertible, you end up with pieces, right? When I say pieces, like the car is pieces. So I think that was probably my biggest challenge. And then, you learn things as you go, right? So I learned because now that's the third car that at the time it was the first car, but I've had three cars on that stand. But I learned, okay, there's certain things about the stand that when you put it back on the pan, you need to kind of allow for certain differences in measurements till you get it on the pan, and then you can kind of really get close, right? So that was
Interesting.
probably the biggest thing, the biggest hurdle, I would say.
So you mentioned few months done, you're driving it, right? So
Yep.
how long did the entire restoration take you? And two, take yourself back to, really the first drive when it's a complete car. What's that feel like? Describe that moment.
Well, the first drive in that car. I took the first time I took that was the same day that I had taken it home. Elena came to the shop, and I took her down around we call it the beach route in Falmouth, which is like this road that just meanders along the coast. It's gorgeous. So I took her for a ride in that. Then on the way back, we stopped the shop, grabbed our things, and on the way home, I got thinking to myself, I'm like, God, I really love this little thing. Like, I don't know what it is about this car. I mean, at the time, look, it really was. It's not anything special. It's just a
We
Super Beetle convertible.
we call
And it
this
was
getting bit by the bug, brother.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just a stock 1600. I mean, a tired one at that. I mean, I think this thing had like 70,000 miles on it. And I
What
mean,
year was it again?
it's so Lucky's it's a little bit of a mix. It's got a little bit of 75, a little bit of 73.
Okay.
It's really a 75.
Okay.
Um, but I did away with the fuel injection stuff and made it carbureted. So
Right.
I put the rear aprons from 73. So I still have the 74 and 5 up, bumper absorbers, the bumpers, that kind of stuff. But I wanted a carbureted rear pan on it because it didn't have to fit the catalytic converter from the fuel injected ones underneath it.
Right on. Was it at the same time, or was it, very close in proximity that you got the 1970 Beetle?
Yeah, so that's Ringo. So it was that day
Yeah.
we drove Lucky home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fell in love with the car. And again, yeah, getting bit by the bug. That's absolutely it. I mean, that's so true.
Yes.
Yeah, drove that thing home, and that night, the only thing I could do, I was scouring Facebook Marketplace and found a couple that were up in New Hampshire and set up a couple appointments and of course, New Hampshire from where we are, it was probably about a 3-hour drive. We drove up there. The first one, I'm like, you know, I mean, again, I could fix it, but at the time I was looking at something between like $4,000 to $6,000. I mean, with that kind of money to spend, you're gonna get something that probably gonna be drivable, but probably needs a lot of work.
Right.
And that's where I found the 70, and thankful that I did because I love the older body style. I love everything about 70 and down is really now like where we're at with cars, at least the Beatles. Yeah, it was literally the next day after driving her car home. We went up there and we drove up to New Hampshire, looked at one, didn't like it, found the second one, found the 70, and gave the guy a deposit. And the next weekend we went up there and picked it up.
Yeah, man. Awesome. I've got a 62. My wife drives a 71 Carmen Ghia for
Nice.
fun. Yeah, those are but here I wanted to touch on this because, interesting kind of background and story, because not a lifer as far as being into Volkswagens your entire, career / even as a hobby. And that's
Okay.
very cool. And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of times that I take somebody that's never been in a classic Beetle and they go for a ride in one for the first time.
Yep.
I always hear this. Well, damn,
Yep.
this thing rides a lot better than I thought it would. And I'm
That's
like,
right.
what'd you think you were getting into a freaking wagon from the 1912s? Like what?
Right. Right.
Yeah. So what I wanted to say to that was to you, can you believe how well these little cars drive and how well they're engineered? It's freaking
Oh God.
insane, man.
Everything about them. Yeah,
Yeah,
everything about
dude.
them. I love them.
Yeah. Me too, man. Me too. I'm
The
locked in.
the simplicity of them. The idea that they were built for the consumer to be able to work on, and you literally can. I mean, that's why like nowadays I got that 73 Westy I'm doing here in my house, and again, just doing it right at home. That's what I love about them. I really do.
So you've done 3 full restorations now on classic Volkswagens. I know we touched on this a little bit, I'm sure, but I wanna, just hear a little bit more detail. The process from the first time all the way to now with how much you've learned on doing 3 cars, what does the process look like now that it's evolved?
Well, it's funny because I just literally bought a 60 ragtop Beetle.
Ooh,
I haven't gotten it yet. I should be picking it up right after Thanksgiving that weekend.
nice,
Um,
man. What a great year to be, grateful and thankful. That's a great car.
and it's a beryl green ragtop car.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's rare, right?
What you gonna do
Um,
with it?
you know, in the beginning I've got a 69 as well that somebody gave to me. That's a long story. I'll make that short and sweet. A friend of my wife's best friend, they had the car sitting in the yard for 30 years. It's kind of like a family heirloom, but it didn't move for 30 years. So it's like the ground came up around it. So the car's just too far gone and they just wanted it out of there. So I went and picked it up, brought it back to our shop, pulled the engine out of it because it turned and actually I rebuilt that engine, which will probably end up going in the 60. I rebuilt that engine. It was a 1500 single port. I made it into a 1600 dual port. But again, that was a free car, so I'm into it for what it cost me to build that engine. But
Wow.
yeah, that 60, I think will probably it'll go back to as close to original as possible, and I'll probably put that 1600 in it just for drivability. I
Yeah,
mean,
yep, yep.
we've got a 64 Sandy, we call that one, which that's a gorgeous little car. That's a funny story how we got that one too. And I don't want to keep rambling here, but
You're not rambling, man. This is your time, brother. Let it
yeah,
roll. Let it roll.
so I'll get into the next one. So Sandy, we took Lucky to a car show. This was, I don't know, 5 or 6 months after I finished Lucky, and we went to the car show, parked next to a 64 tan Beetle. I talked to the guy for about an hour. He was, really cool guy. I told him about the 70 that I had just gotten, and I had been driving that by the time that was too. That I'd already gotten that thing running and going, and it wasn't a bad looking car at the time, so I was just driving it. So we go to this car show, park next to this guy, and his name's Wayne. Really, really good guy. Couple months later, it was right around this time, actually. My wife says to me, and she should know better at this point that, to tell me about these things. But she says, "Hey, I don't know if you noticed, there's a tan Beetle on Facebook for sale." And I look at it and I'm like, "Hun, that's the car we parked next to at the show." And she said, "No." And I'm like, "I'm telling you, it's definitely that car." So I messaged him and he literally got right back to me. He said, because my response to him was, "Hey, I don't know if you remember me, but we had the blue and white super convertible that was parked next to you at the show." And his response back was a picture of our two cars together.
Oh,
So,
cool, man.
which is pretty cool. So he told me, he's like, "Listen, I saw what you did with your wife's Beetle. If you want this car, I'd rather see it go to somebody like you." God, 2 weeks later, we had that one. So
Yeah.
in a matter of less than a year, we owned 3 Beetles, right?
Wonderful.
Yeah, and Sandy's that car. I mean, I've done, mechanical work to it, nothing body work, put a quick shine on it, buffing it up, but,
You know what I
it's
talk
actually
about? I talk about with a lot of enthusiasts, and this happens, but we compare these old classics to almost like a cat because you know how they say cats find you?
Yep.
I feel like these classic dubs are the same way, man. They just end up finding you. Now, sometimes we're guilty because we're
Always looking.
on social media. Yeah, we're always looking for opportunity.
Right.
But that's still an example of finding us, you know? I mean, you showed up in my feed. Dang it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's
man,
ex
I think it's so cool to hear, hear these types of stories where these cars just, stars align and they find you. Any favorite paint jobs or any favorite colors that resonate to you or have any stories behind them in the cars that you're building?
Yeah, Ringo, which is a 70 convertible. That's the gray and black one. That's got the black two-tone in the hood and on the deck lid. So those colors are loosely based on. So a friend of mine growing up, he and I have built so many cars together. In fact, we're still doing a 66 Nova, the
Nice.
327 car, 4-speed, really nice car.
Ooh, yeah.
We built so many cars together over the years. But anyways, his usual go-to is always black. Like everything I paint for him is always black,
That's
which
a
is
hard
always
color too, isn't it?
it's such a hard color, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Your
Respect.
body work's gotta be spot on. I mean,
Right.
bringing the clear coat back to that kind of shine, show winning shine, that just it takes time, it takes patience, it's all those things that, I learned really young.
None of the
But
things that I have. Time
yeah,
or
yeah,
patience.
but those are the colors that he would typically use. Or something similar. And then, with the dark gray, that's actually a Volkswagen color. So I think it was 14 or 15, somewhere around there. They had a Beetle convertible that was gray with black. And my 70 is loosely based off of that kind of for a theme.
Got it. Got it. So for people that are listening who think, about maybe not being able to take on a project like that, naturally you not only did but did well and then continued to take on more and more. What would be advice from you for somebody to start a project like that?
Well, if say so, I would say that it would depend on which model we're talking about, right? So if it's a Beetle, first I say just buy the car, right? I mean, if the engine turns over by hand, then it's likely going to run. So if you get it running and you drive it that one time, you're gonna fall in love with it enough to want to work on it, right? So once you get to that point, I mean, if you're handy enough and you can weld or learn how to weld, MIG welding's not hard. You can probably restore one of these cars. I mean, I look at some of these people that are online, and hats off to all of them.
Right?
Annie, for one, Annie's VW,
Dude,
she's killing it.
our
Yeah, she's
house. Yeah,
yeah, and I
superstar.
watch her stuff all the time,
Me
and, you know,
too. Me too. I learned
I
so
give her a
much.
lot of yeah, I give her a lot of credit. She's done some really, really impressive work, so,
Amen, dude.
and that's the thing, so you probably don't realize your own potential with these things until you get rocking and rolling on them.
Yeah, one of the
And
favorite things that she said to me on when she did this podcast was to the men, and she said, Stop taking the tools out of the hands
that's right.
of us
I
women.
remember that.
Yeah, when
Yeah,
we ask a question and we want guidance, we don't want you to do it for us."
right.
And I swear, man, that was such an impactful statement that I think means so much to so many people.
Absolutely, like, yeah, I mean, if you're interested enough to wanna turn wrenches on one of these things, then by all means, that's what you should be doing. You shouldn't, you I get asking for guidance is the right word. Yeah, I understand that completely.
Yeah,
But that's just it. They wanna do it on their own. So, I think that was a very wise statement on her part, for sure.
for sure. And wow, is she talented, man.
Yeah,
Makes it look easy, you know? Literally, when it looks that easy, it takes, the average folks and it gives them motivation. They're like, "Wait a minute. I can build this too."
yeah,
It's all coming apart so easy. It's all going to back together so easy. Um,
right.
yeah, man, she's amazing. Let's touch on Forrest.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So Forrest is tell me about this Westy. Tell me about what year and what yeah, tell me about the engine. Tell me about this bus.
So Forrest is a '77 Westphalia. It's an automatic, which actually I really come to like in that thing. Look, I've wanted a but once I got bitten by the bug, I'd love to have them all, Joe. I
I know,
really would.
man. Hey, me
I
too, man. Me too.
I I, I keep my eyes open for that stuff all the time. I want a
Me too,
square
bro.
back. I want a notch back. I mean,
Me dude, me too. Now,
yeah,
actually, let me touch on that. The notch has evolved to one of my favorite models because to me, you're a Chevy guy. It looks like a little miniature 57 Chevy.
yep,
And I think that is just the sexiest little dub ever. So
yep,
that's become one of my favorites, the Type 3 notchback. But I want a bay. I want a split.
yep,
I'm not done yet. I still, I want a early, very early, maybe even a split or an oval window Beetle.
yep,
The late '70s Beetles were great, as far as drivability and comfort and everything else with AC. I'd like to have one of those all original convertible.
yep,
But man, I could go on forever, but I'm like you. I
yep,
want them all, and I'm
yep,
always
yeah.
looking for
So
opportunities.
but, all right, so kinda like a cat with Forrest, I mean, I was keeping my eye out looking for a Westie, right?
Mhm.
And I wanted a green one, and it just so happened that I mean, it's what a crazy year, right? I told myself this was last year, I'm like, "Do not buy any more cars. You have too many cars." And then, my wife and I, we went out to dinner one night, and so she shows me a picture of a pink '55 Chevy, and I just tell her, I'm like, "Hon, we're not buying a '55 Chevy. It's not in the cards." So what I do find is I found that '57 Buick, right? So I ended up doing that '57 Buick, which is a great car. It really is. But anyways, so I had bought the Buick, and then maybe 6 or 8 weeks later, I see Forest for sale. And immediately I'm like, and I saw the price. I think the guy was asking $10,000 for it, which way more than fair for that thing. I mean, it was a
Agree. Agree.
driving, reliable Westy bus. You can't find that anymore, right?
No, man. Perfect.
So,
Lovely.
long story short, I ended up going up there that day. I offered him 8,000 for it. I got the bus for $8,000. He drove it to me the next day. Yep, he drove it all the way. It was down up near Boston. He drove it down the Cape for me, which is about an hour and a half ride for him. And well, I remember when he showed up, I was like, "Wow, she made it." And he looks at me like I was crazy, and he goes, "Hey, I don't know if you understand, but this thing's reliable." He's like, "I was out in upstate New York with this 3 weeks ago." And he's like, "I've gone to California and back with it twice." And I'm like, "Wow, okay."
Right?
Right? So that's the story on and I call it Forrest. He had named it Horace, Horace, but the name just didn't fit with me. I think Forest more for camping, something like that, and it's green. So,
Yeah. No,
but
I like it. I love it,
yeah, so
man.
got Forest. He had done some really cool stuff to it. It's got a little solar panel on the roof, and it's got I put a bigger lithium ion battery in there, so it's got 300 amp hours. It'll run my refrigerator for like a week. Yeah, and I camped the hell out of that thing this summer. It was a blast. I loved it.
Yeah, so
Absolutely loved it.
I saw that in your in your backstory. So just this last year, you've been out camping in that thing several times, but 5
Yeah.
times or more. What are some of the best memories from the road?
I as corny as this might sound, like just getting there. You know what I mean? The
Oh,
drive
man.
there.
I get it, dude. If trust me, you're on the call with the right guy. I get it. Sometimes I just take a video of myself just driving my cars,
Yeah,
because I'm what I'm trying to do is capture the feeling that I'm feeling, and
right.
I can't, right? I watched the video later and I'm like, "Why were you showing your toes?" And
Yeah.
like,
Right,
you know?
right.
Yeah, like,
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's whatever I'm listening to on the radio, the mood that it puts me in, because I feel like in my Westy, when I'm going somewhere, like, I feel like it's like like I'm free, right? So the farther down Cape Cod that you go, the more desolate it is, and that's some of the most gorgeous coastal, areas of of Massachusetts that they're just untouched. And it's national seashore, so it can't be touched. And God, is it gorgeous out
yeah.
there? So when you're driving out there and just all you're seeing is the dunes and stuff, and then you get to your spot, and then unhitch my mountain bike and just go. I mean, God, I love that. I mean, it's just it's I've the off grid thing, I suppose. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I love that because I can be. And in my bus I've got a TV, I've got every little creature comfort that you can think of, I put it in there. So I could
Yeah.
literally there's clothes, there's food. I could right now go out there, turn the key and leave for a week. It's just the way I want it too.
It's a vibe, man. There's something magical about sleeping in a bus,
Amen.
for sure. All right, so let's fast forward just a little bit then. So you're working on another bay window bus now that you're turning into a photo booth business, right? Talk to me, I guess, just about maybe how this idea came to life and yeah, what your plans are for this business.
Here's my thoughts, Joe. I mean, we go to when it's summertime, my wife's a teacher, so she has the summer off. I mean, that's my busy time of year, but that's the time of year that I don't want to be turning wrenches on things all the time, right? I want to be enjoying the summer. We live in one of the most beautiful places in the country where people come to vacation all the time.
Right.
So I want to enjoy that, right?
We have
And I
that in
want to
common,
enjoy
actually.
and I want to enjoy the cars. So when we go to these places, more so, I think it really hit me the most in September this year. We went to a certain beach we really can't go to often because you need parking passes and we don't want to pay, right? So this time of year, you don't have to pay. Well, anyways, we had the '64 Beetle, the Sandy, and I put all the props on that car, right? I put the surfboard up there. I've got an old Coke cooler. I've got some old vintage suitcases and
Oh,
luggage,
hell
right?
yeah. Yeah.
So and it's got the, year manufactured plates on it, so it really hams it up, right?
Sure.
So I parked that thing at the beach and we go sit and this was the first time I think we've actually been close to one of the cars at the beach, and every single person that came on the beach that day was taking pictures with the car.
Of course they were.
And then the following, and I didn't really, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I guess I kind of get numb to the fact of that that's what the car is, right? But then the next week we went back to the same beach and there was a woman sitting there on the parking lot. She was an elderly woman, probably had trouble walking through the sand, but she wanted to be there. Anyways, she was close enough within earshot. She said to us, she's like, "Is this your car?" And I said, "Yeah, it is." And she's like, "I feel like we should be charging admission for this stuff." And I thought to myself, I'm like, you know what? That's a pretty good idea, right? So Not that I want to do that at the beach or anything. I don't want that kind of attention, but it's very, I think there's a big market for, folks taking family pictures with something by the beach.
Hmm.
I think there really is.
There is. I've had other guests on the podcast even previously that do this as a family business. They've
Yeah.
they've got several buses, photo booth buses. So yeah, man, I'm right in, man. Especially for me, it's like, I said this in the beginning. When you have an opportunity to merge any type of a passion that you have with business, I feel like the income that it can substantiate is typically almost ironic because it comes so easy, right? You're like, wow, why didn't I do this years ago? Well, because it wasn't right. Now it's
Right.
right. Stars align, the passion's there, now you fuel the business, and it's just like, well, yeah, that thing's booked every weekend. You're like, what? Yeah, it's booked every weekend. And
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy, but I'm happy to hear about that. But I guess maybe explain the build for me just a little bit.
Okay. So, God, you'll laugh at this, Joe. So again, my wife works way down Cape. She's got about an hour commute to work every day, and they were doing some road construction down there this year. So they had a detour, right? And it's quiet down there. There's not too much going on, right? So she comes home one day and she says to me, and again, Alana should know better when it comes to this stuff. She comes home and she says, "Hey, hon, I think I saw one of those old Volkswagen vans that you like down on my detour on my way to work today." I said, "Oh yeah, take me a picture." So she takes a picture the next morning on her way to work. She sends it to me, and immediately I'm like, I wrote back, "That's a 68 to 73 VW T2 Westphalia bus." And she goes, "Oh, is that," I mean, she's clueless when it comes to a lot of that stuff, right? And she goes, "Oh, is that one that you like?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So I didn't tell her, but there was a tiny little for sale sign in the back window. And it was an older guy. All it was he apparently had a locksmith business. It was his name and a phone number. Well, I zoomed in enough and I got the phone number. I called the phone number and, I told the guy, I was like, "Look, I could be down there later this afternoon. Love to come take a look at it." And he says, "Yeah, sure. It's not going anywhere. It's been out there for years now." So long story short, I go down there, look at it, and it's wasted. Like, I mean, it's absolutely wasted. And in my thought, I'm like, whatever. I mean, I want to paint Forrest at some point, so I'm sure I could use the parts. So I buy the thing for $1,000. It's got paperwork, it's got everything with it. And it's a complete bus. I mean, everything's there. There's a couple little things that were missing, whatever, but it's all there. So I get it back home, and it's ugly as hell, right? Somebody had tried with spray paints to make it look some kind of a hippie wagon or something. I mean, it's ugly, just as ugly as could be. So, I had already started acquiring parts for Forrest and had tons of stuff. So, I mean, it's just something that's just sitting over there in the corner of the yard. I'm like, maybe I'll start picking away at it, right? So, tried to get it running, had to put a distributor in it, distributor I had. So I got it running. I'm like, wow, she don't make no noise. It actually sounds pretty good. And so then it was on to the brakes and most of that stuff. I had already started buying used stuff. I had a new beam for front suspension for
Mhm.
Forrest. Anyway, so I started picking away at it, and now it's like, all right, well, if I've gone this far, I might as well keep going. And it's funny because it's, the guys at work, they'll joke with me like, "You don't like them unless it's an absolute toilet that needs to be junked, and that's the type of project that you want." I'm like, well, kinda. I like being able to do something that somebody tells me, "Oh, that thing's too far gone." It's like, "Oh, yeah? Well, we'll see about that," you know?
Interesting, interesting. And the true craftsman, true artistic type builders I've had on, they have that same mindset. Like, oh yeah, they were gonna trash this thing. They said it needed to
Yeah.
be scrapped, and then, all of a sudden you see it come back to life. You're like, man, everybody said this couldn't be done. So cool to hear you say that.
And it's 3/4 of the way done now. I mean, I've been flying around it, I really have. If I have any spare time, that's what I wanna be doing. I wanna be in the garage, working on that stuff. But yeah, it's really moving along. I anticipate painting it around Christmas time.
So, bit by the bug, last few years, kind of describe for me maybe what is your favorite part of the VW community, now for you?
I got to admit that everybody that I've encountered in the Volkswagen community, it's different than any other community I've ever been a part of when it comes to cars. I don't know any other way to describe it other than it feels more like a brotherhood or family-like than anything else. That doesn't just go for anybody who's a Volkswagen enthusiast, right? That goes right back to the beginning where every single person, if you're over the age of, God, say 35, if you ask somebody about a Volkswagen Bug, their uncle, their grandmother, their mother, somebody's
Amen.
had one.
Yeah.
And
Amen.
everybody's got a story about a bug, and for that, I think a lot of that is really probably my favorite part, the camaraderie, the brotherhood, because everybody's willing to help each other.
Do you think anything's missing?
More of them, I suppose. I mean, I'd be happy to see these things all over the place, you know? I just love the cars. The more the merrier.
So you're doing interior work too, right? Upholstery, you're building
Yeah.
tops.
Yep.
Where'd you learn all this stuff from, man? Is it trial and error or are you
Yes.
Superman? What's going on here?
In short, yes. So when I finished Lucky, I had bought all the parts to the whole convertible top kit. I bought everything, but I was nervous to do it. I didn't know. I mean, never done one before. Just didn't know if I had what it took to be able to do a convertible top, right? So I started looking around, calling people, and nobody wants to touch that stuff anymore, right? You tell them that
Mhm.
you've got the fabric, you've got everything for it, and they're like, "Nope, won't do it. Nope, won't do it." I
Yeah.
even talked to some old timers, some guys that, were retired that was still doing stuff on the side and nope, won't touch it. And I was like, oh man, like what the
Really
heck?
is,
So
it really is gonna be up to me.
yeah, and that's literally what it boiled down to. I said, you know what? I'm just gonna give this a shot. And and yeah, the first one I did was mine. I didn't want to do Lucky's because so let's just understand a little bit about Lucky, right? That's Mama Bear's car. I mean, it literally gets driven 3 times a year, maybe. It's a garage queen, and, she doesn't like it to go out. She doesn't want anything to happen to it. Me, I love to drive them, right?
Right.
So, my 70 Ringo, I mean, I'm in that car all the time. When we go to the beach, we're in Sandy. We drive them, just not so much Lucky. So, when it came time to doing the first convertible top, I figured, you know what? If I'm gonna wreck one or I'm gonna mess something up, I can't have it be Mama Bear's car, right? So, I gotta do my own first. So I did mine, which I mean that was a pretty good crash course on convertible tops. The older cars, they have the wood bow in the front. And I don't care who you buy the wood bows from, they all need work, right? They all need to be, fitted God 15, 20 times and checked and double checked. And it's just time consuming, right? Where the supers, they're not as hard. But yeah, so I did the first top on mine and thought it came out pretty good, and then thought I was a hero. So we already had the stuff to do hers, so I did hers too. And then the next thing I know, like a friend of mine came, hey, they just bought a super and they wanted a top down. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Then another guy, so that's how it starts.
That's exactly right. All right, so tell me this one. Unlimited time, unlimited budget. What kinda VW are you gonna build?
Bone stock square back. I'd also
Oh,
love.
yeah, baby.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. I want an oval. I mean, the old Beatles. I mean, there's something about those. It would probably if money wasn't an object, it would be a very early Beetle, probably an oval, and just have it be as original as can be.
I
Which is
love it. And, usually I get this vibe from a lot of the true craftsmen's, more of the purist, type vibe. And, hey, listen, total respect to that. I think maybe I don't know, my Miami roots, not saying that meaning I grew up there, but I'm a South Florida kid, born and
yeah,
raised here in St. Pete. Miami was like the influence, especially the car scene. So all through the late '80s and the '90s, man, we were mini trucking, we were low riding, we had
yeah,
hydraulic,
yeah,
so for me, it's like I don't care what year it is, like, if it's cool if it's absolutely slammed onto the ground as far as
yep,
it can go,
yep.
uh, and,
So here's the thing, Ed, I love them all, right? And it
yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, me
and when I
too, me
when I
too.
do a when I do a car for myself, in my head, I've already come up with a theme. Like, I know what it's gonna look like, I know what I want it to drive like, I know what I want it to handle, I know in my head, as I'm beginning the project, I know where the outcome's gonna be, right? So with Ringo, I wanted to build my perfect Beetle, right? So my perfect Beetle was something that had a lot of power, handled really well, braked really well, very reliable, turnkey, just get in it, run the pants off it if that's what I want to do. And that's kind of where that car's at. So it's low. It's got, all kinds of suspension goodies underneath it. And
Yeah.
that car handles and drives like a very overpowered go-kart.
You're right.
Uh, and that's, I mean, that's that's some of the most fun that you can have doing 50 or 60 miles an hour.
Period.
What I mean?
Period.
Just getting there, right? So,
Yeah.
and about that car a little bit, right? So that's got an 1835 in it. That's got CB Performance Panchito heads and dual 40 IDFs and Angley 110 cam. So I mean, it's decent. I think it's 9-to-1 compression, so it goes pretty good. I mean, there's not much to the car, so
Yeah.
yeah, she moves along pretty good.
I
And
bet.
then you got Lucky, who's fairly stock, and then I've got Sandy, which is the 64. That car is still 6 volt, and I
Holy,
don't want to change that. I
I'm
mean,
I'm losing track, man. How many projects do you have right now total?
okay. So we got the 57 Buick's done. I still got to do the upholstery on it, but we drive that car. We got the IROC. Then I got the 40 Chevy 1.5 ton dump truck. Those are the GM ones. Then we've got Sandy, which is a 64 Beetle. Lucky, which is the 75 Super. Mine, the Ringo is the 70. Then I got that 69 Beetle that was given to me. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with it. Forrest, which is the 77 Westy. I got the 73 Westy that I'm in the process of right now. And then just picking up that 60 Beetle Rag next
Work.
week.
Yeah, it's nine projects, man.
Yeah.
That's cooking, brother. Good.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot going on.
Yeah, that's
It's a lot
awesome
just
though.
to maintain them, it really is. It's
Oh, I know it. I got two in the driveway, and in all transparency, sometimes they're running, sometimes they're not. Uh,
that's it. Yep.
and the 62, I find the
Nice.
the 6 volt 1200 has proven, reliable for sure. But man, that little thing is picky. I mean, it feels like,
Really.
yeah, if I don't have a trickle charger on that battery, I must have some type of amp draw somewhere. It dies in a day or two. Yeah, and it's like, so I keep the trickle charger on it. Then the starter wants to get a little cranky sometimes, and it wants to get stuck. So I've gotta advance it to get it from unstuck, and then the key switch will work again. I've gone through 2 key switch. I'm like, man, yeah,
Sounds like a Volkswagen.
yeah, I'm probably gonna. I got a 1600, like you said. I've got a
Yep.
1600 dual port that was a performance motor that came out of a trike, and it's all chromed out like a Harley,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it came off the back of a bike. But I've got it. It runs like a top. It's actually a new build. I'm gonna put that 1600 in my 62, and I'm excited to make it a 12 volt.
Yeah. So again, if moving forward, thinking about that 60 that I'm going to do, right? So that I would like it I want it to look original as can be, but I want the creature comforts of better brakes,
Yes.
and just a little bit more power, because
Yeah.
that 1200 in Sandy, I mean, again, that thing is as reliable as the day is long. I mean,
Yeah, yeah, that's
I,
what I'm saying. And
I
they
haven't
even
touched that.
it's
I hadn't
peppy.
touched that car in probably 5 weeks, and this morning I moved it. And again, that's no trickle charge on that or nothing. I just went out there, turned the key. It took a little bit of cranking, but she fired right up.
Yeah, I
And
love it.
but that car, I've got service records on that thing for 35 years that I got from the guy. I mean,
Wow.
just it's just an original. It was a one owner car before he had gotten it. Just such a nice, cool car. And I know with that thing, I'm fine going around town, running to the beach, 15, 20 minutes away. But like any more than that, it's tough on today's roads because people just get upset. You know what I mean? People go around you honking at you, giving you the bird, and it's like it's a 60-year-old Volkswagen. What do you think? You
Right,
know?
right.
So, but I think that 60, that's gonna be a 12-volt car with just a stock 1600 dual port and probably a little bit better braking.
Yeah, that's where
But
I'm headed. That's where
yeah,
I'm
that'll
headed
be
to.
about it.
Yep, yep. All right, so I got some rapid fire questions. These are
Sure.
questions that would demand a fast response, and like I tell every guest every time, if a story evolves out of any of these, so be it, but it doesn't have to. You can answer with, one-word answers if you want to. Are you ready?
Ready.
All right. First car that you ever wrecked or and or restored?
Well, that's two different answers. First car I ever wrecked was a Honda CRX, and
What
that was
year?
just, I think it was a 90 or 91. 90 or 91.
I remember those. I had a
Yeah, I love that.
I had a
I
'96 Civic hatchback I bought off the showroom floor.
love those little cars.
Oh, yeah.
Love
Yeah,
those little cars.
for sure, man. Honda had
Favorite
their act together back then.
Right, right. And let's see. And the next one was, what was it? The favorite one favorite one I've restored?
First one you restored.
First car I've restored, or first Volkswagen?
First car.
First car I restored. Yeah, my father gave me a '78 Camaro for when I turned 16. And it was a running driving car. It was a nice car actually. And, a few things about it, but again, I was in high school and I ended up selling that Monte Carlo SS that I had done for the cash to build a motor for that Camaro. And I went right through that Camaro. God, I was 17, I think, the first time I raced it in a quarter-mile drag up in New Hampshire. Yeah, yeah, that was probably the first one that I actually really everything, engine, everything right through the car. And I was, I hadn't even graduated high school then. Yep.
Awesome, man. All right, dream VW color combo.
I mean, for me, it was what I did on my 70. But again, I loved all the old 70s and 60s colors that they had back then. So I'm really excited to get into that 60 and that beryl green. I think there's something about those old, late 50s, early 60s, those colors.
You touched on something earlier when you were talking about black, but my favorite or my dream combo is black exterior, obviously black paint everywhere paint goes, and then red.
Yeah.
Red on the big, big, 17-inch or even above.
Yeah.
Big smoothies. I love them. Red,
Yep.
chrome center, red interior, red carpet, red doors. To me, that's just like,
Yeah. I can dig that.
yeah, for sure. Okay, how about this one? Favorite tool in your garage right now? Favorite tool?
As trite as this is going to sound, my sanding blocks.
Ooh, man. I watch Annie sand
Yeah.
with the block, and I swear it looks like you can just see the passion, man. You can she's feeling the car out, like every single nook and cranny, and that's just so cool to me. So good answer. Good answer.
Yeah, the sanding blocks don't lie. As a kid, when you're learning the trade, you want to use the air tools and you want to be faster, and that's the name of the game. But if you want to be fast, you need to learn how to be good with your hands. And that's the first lesson. And I can tell you the first time that I was actually told that. And I was about 14. It was at 13. I was working on that Monte Carlo, actually. And my uncle came out and he's like, I'm watching you. You're putting it on, you're taking it off. You're putting it on, you're taking it off. What's going on? I'm like, well, and he says, listen, just like this. He said, listen, if you want to be good with something, if you want to figure this out, if you want to do it, you need to find the feel with your hands first. That tool is going to lie to you. The block will not.
Ooh,
And so I guess, yeah, there you go.
there you go.
Santa blocks.
Yeah. So one car you'd never sell.
One would be that 40 Chevy. And that's because Paps was born in 1940. I learned to weld on his 40 Ford Coupe. And I remember the day I brought that up to him. This is years after I, a grown man and had kids of my own. And I brought that truck up to him and he walked around it with a big smile on his face and just told me how proud of me that he was. And I'll never forget that. That meant the world to me, absolute world to me. So that and Lucky, Elena's Beetle, because that's Mama's car. That's the one that started it all.
Yeah, man. Awesome. So looking back now at the work that you do, is it engine building or body work that gives you more kind of zen?
100% body work.
Body work.
I mean,
I can feel that.
I love the idea of building my own engines, and I love doing it on the air cooled stuff. I don't want to build V8s. I don't want to work on any of that stuff. I want to work on these little air cooled motors, and I've done a handful of them by now, and I got a 2276 I got the short block all together on my bench in there in the shop right now.
Dang, man, putting together a rocket.
But yeah, it should be pretty good. That'll be for Ringo, the 70 convertible. But that should be somewhere around 160 horsepower when I'm done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, for me, it's body work. And people, they laugh at me for that. But, the guys at work, they'll see me and, I'll be covered in dust and still smiling. And they're like, I don't know how you can sand that all day long. And I'm like, man, that's the easiest thing in the world. I already know the outcome. There's nothing to be upset about. It For me, it's simple. It's as simple as folding a load of laundry, but I guess it's because I've been doing it
Yeah.
since I was a little kid.
Second nature. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
crazy, man. All right, answer this one. If you could only pick one, are we picking Westy camping or Beetle cruising?
If I had to pick one, it's gonna be Beetle, mostly because that's what I do with my wife. My wife's not a she's not a camper, that's not her thing. She said to me right from the beginning, "I'll go with you 1 time a year," and she's fulfilled that obligation, right?
Right.
She's done it. She's
Yeah.
gone that 1 time a year, but, that's not her thing as much as I love it, that's kinda my thing, but I love the time spending time with my wife doing that stuff, right? So I would have to say definitely Beetle.
I'd probably pick the same, and for the same reason. My wife is my ride or die. She's right there next to me all the time in the passenger seat, but she's not a camper either. We have a camper, but it has AC and all the rest of the luxuries of life that she's used to.
Right.
Just not her thing. Doesn't mean she doesn't respect it, but just not her thing. What's one thing that people always get wrong about restorations with VWs?
Probably that they're hard. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many times I see on, like, Facebook Marketplace, how many of these cars that people have, like, taken apart and started to work on, and then they lose the interest or I mean, I get it. I mean, life happens, right? I understand that, but these cars are really not that hard, and if there was any bit of advice I could give anybody, that wants to work on them, uh, just start. Just start doing it. Just start working on them, and if you have any trouble, there's plenty of people in the Volkswagen community that will offer up advice and
sure,
point you in the right direction.
sure.
And again, like Gary Miller, talking about him, it was because of watching his videos that I said, "Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna take one of these apart and I'm gonna put it back together myself."
Amazing, the type of impact that some of these influential type people have online. And again,
Sure.
the why behind, what makes you even stimulated to want to teach people. It's a similar feeling, it's the feeling of because it's not as difficult as people think.
Right.
And I just want to really prove that so we can continue this hobby, and this lifestyle. So, very awesome for sure. And like I said in the beginning, man, VW Jawbreaker, fantastic dude.
Yeah.
If your VW could talk, let's say the one that you're keeping forever, what would it say about you as an individual?
Dedication, probably, I would have to say. I mean, because no matter what, I mean, it's I wanna be out there with the cars. I wanna be playing with them. I wanna be even just, sometimes I'll just pick a day, especially in the summertime, I'll pick a day and just clean them. You know what I mean? Just enjoy them and enjoy the fact that they're mine, that I've put them together with my own hands.
I do the same, I just like to look at them in the driveway. Some days
Yeah.
I'll go out, I'll start them, let them run 15, 20 minutes. I'll shut them
Yep.
down. I'll look over everything, check the oil, just, kind of go over everything, and then I'll wash them. I'll clean them. I'll
Yep.
get the shop back out. I'm like, well, dude, you just did this a week ago, and you don't drive them.
Yeah. Same thing with wax. I mean,
Yeah,
that's another thing. I could wax these cars. I could do that every single day. You
it's
know,
like
the
blocking them. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, the paint correction, I love that stuff. I mean, that's the stuff that when I was a kid, I mean, I remember Pops giving me certain things to do, and I remember being a young whippersnapper, if you will, and being like, "We're not gonna replace that fender." And I remember him being like, "Are you a body man or are you a wimp?" Alright, alright, yeah, sure, alright, I'll straighten the thing, yeah, so, I mean, but those are the things that teach you, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I could any day, all day. It's my comfortable place.
So dedication is the word. That's
I
what
would say yes.
that's what your VW would say about you. Probably say thank you for being dedicated. All right, finish this sentence. You ready?
Ready.
Volkswagens taught me.
A redefinition of a love for a hobby that was already instilled in me, right? So, but, I mean, I love cars, and I've been doing cars since I was a little kid, and damn near raced everything with an engine throughout my life at one point or another, but, you know, I don't think I was as in tune with cars again until we got lucky, right? And it was that car that really made me love it again. I mean, yeah, life happens, right? I went through a divorce, 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago, and that kind of changed the course of direction in life for a while. made me kind of rethink priorities and where I needed to be, and kind of had to rebuild life. And the 40 Chevy was about the only thing I kept through it, to be honest. And just because I'll never sell that one. But yeah, Volkswagen really taught me the redefinition of the hobby that I already love. It brought me right back into it with an intense love for it again, like I did when I was a kid.
Fantastic, man. Fantastic. And where can people find you up in your area, your neck of the woods, if they want to, if they want to maybe reach out to you, or hell, maybe even have a project for you to work on?
Yeah, they can find me on Facebook, CapeCodBugs. And if anybody has any questions and wants some work done around here, CapeCodBugs@gmail.com. Feel free, hit me up. I'm happy to, at least if it's something that you need help with, or I can help you, or at least point you in the right direction. You need parts or know somebody that needs something, or whatever it may be. Hit me up with an email, CapeCodBugs@gmail.com, and gladly help any way I can.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Dub Life Diaries. Thanks for riding along with us and diving into these incredible stories of the people and the dubs that drive their dreams. If you loved today's episode, don't forget to subscribe or hit that follow button so you never miss an adventure. Do you have a story to tell or know somebody else who's living the dub life? Awesome! Reach out to us. You can find us on all socials at Dub Life Diaries, or shoot me an email. I'm not hard to find. dublifediaries@gmail.com. Until next time, keep the engines humming and the wheels turning, and always follow the road that inspires you. This is Joe Person. I'm signing off. I'll catch you on the next ride.